In this week's devotionals, we're going to tackle the theme of friendship. 5 things that God wants us to know about friends. We miss our friends right now, don't we? Because of the quarantine, we can't be around people that we're usually around, whether it's at work or school or just the people we would hang out with at night, people in our neighborhood. And we're missing those friends. And yes, I know we can connect through FaceTime or other technology. We can text, we can email, but I don't think any of us really believes that that's quite the same as being physically present with our friends. Now, this shouldn't surprise us. The Bible has always told us that we need people in our life. And that's why today what we're going to focus on is that friendships are a necessity, not a luxury. Malcolm Gladwell, in his book Outliers, tells the story of a guy named Christopher Langan. Langan was an absolute genius. He scored 195 on his IQ test. And for reference, Einstein scored 150. Langan was the kind of guy who could look at a textbook for a few minutes before a test and ace the test. He fell asleep during the SAT, and he still aced the SAT. He was the kind of person that students like me hated in school, because he worked a lot less and did a lot better than I could ever dream of. But Gladwell goes on to say that Langan's family didn't really have the resources to help him maximize his gifts. And so Christopher Langan spent most of his life working on a horse farm in rural Missouri. So what Gladwell says in his book is that what we can learn from Langan's life is that no one, and then he goes on to say not rock stars or movie stars or professional athletes or software billionaires or geniuses, can make it on their own. And I think we could add to Gladwell's list, we could add Christians. Christians can't make it on their own. And we find out the reason why in the Bible. The Bible tells us that God created us for community. All the way back at the beginning of Genesis in chapter 2, it says that it is not good for man to be alone. Before sin ever entered into the world, God said that there was something that was wrong, and that was the fact that a human being was alone. God created us for relational connection. You could almost say it this way: God isn't enough for us. And all that means is that God communicates His goodness and His grace and His love and His care and His concern for us through other people. See, that's why we find ourselves lonely during the quarantine, because God created us for relational connection. Now, what that means today is that we need to take the initiative to use whatever technology we can to reach out to other people. That we need to try to connect with other people, even though it is difficult. And then when this quarantine is lifted and life gets back to something resembling normalcy, we need to make friendships a larger priority in our life. We need to see that they are really important, not just something that we can pursue when we have extra time. We need to see that God created us for community, and so we need to pursue that community. A lot of times we think we'll be happier if we get a new job or move to a new city, when what we're really longing for is deeper, more intimate, more personal friendships. But until things get back to normal, what I'd encourage you to do is reach out to people that you may have been wanting to reach out to in the past but didn't have time. Maybe set aside a few minutes a day to reach out to someone who you think might be a little less connected than you. I think you'll find that a text message or a few minutes FaceTiming will make a really big difference to them. And I think it'll be good for you too. Why? Well, because God created us for connection. Friendships, they're a necessity, not a luxury. See you tomorrow.